Okay, so in this video, I'm going to share with you how I make upwards of $1,200 per day, most of it being profit like 95%, with a very simple funnel step by step. That way, you can replicate what I've done and hopefully obtain similar results. But since it's probably the first time you name it, let me introduce myself very quickly. My name is Fred, and I went from struggling financially over 5 years ago to building a profitable consulting business that allowed me to become financially free. All of that in my early 20s. So to thank you, if you watch this video until the end and you share it with a friend, when we get to 100,000 subscribers, I will be giving away $10,000. So to give you some background on my story, I grew up in a lower middle class family and we often suffered because of lack of money. To give you just a few examples, every day I would hear my parents complaining about the price of basic necessities like food, like bread, like just electricity, clothes. There wasn't a single day I wouldn't hear them argue over chores or about money issues. And at the same time at school, I could see these rich kids getting dropped off in Porsches, brand new BMWs, and they were living a much better life. And during the summer, they could actually afford to go on amazing vacations, while I'd be stuck in my tiny room all summer in like 29-30 degree heat inside of the room because we couldn't afford to go on real vacations, even though my mother really wanted to travel. And so growing up, I felt extremely limited because I knew if we had more money, life could have been incredible. We could have done anything we wanted. And so from a very young age, for some reason, I just felt like it was my duty to become successful. And when I was a teen, when my mother got sick, I made her a promise. I told her I would always be there to provide for my youngest sister if anything happened. So I couldn't just go ahead and break my promise to her. I had to figure out a way to actually become successful, to become financially free. And I wanted to just never have to worry about the price tag of anything ever again. Sometimes when I was a kid, even a teen, it rarely happened, but when we'd see a supercar on the highway, I would always be mesmerized by it. Not because I thought it was pretty, but because I wondered how the mindset of the person driving the car must have been so different from everyday people, from all the people I knew in fact, because they could afford to spend $200,000, $300,000 on a car. My parents couldn't even afford to spend that on a house. So what did they know that we didn't? I wanted to discover the secrets of successful people because I figured if I knew what they know, then I could become as successful myself and set myself and the people I love free for the rest of our lives. We'd never have to worry about money or anything ever again because money solves 99% of your problems. The only problems that money can't solve, it's things like death, losing the people that you love. What else can't money solve? It can allow you to live in the place of your dreams. It can allow you to be stress-free, to be happy, to do what you love. But at the same time, when I was a kid, I knew that you could become a CEO or a banker or a doctor and you could make 6 figures per year in your 40s or 50s if you worked really hard and you studied in a good school. So I would have been making a lot of money for sure if I decided to follow that path, but it just wasn't for me because I not only wanted to make a lot of money, but I wanted to do it in my 20s so I could enjoy my life while I was young. And on top of that, I wanted geographical freedom. I wanted to be able to live anywhere in the world, not have to be bound by a strict 9-to-5 schedule given to me by a boss, not even by myself, having 2 weeks of vacations per year, paying an insanely high amount of taxes, only for what? For a growing insecurity in the world, to maybe hopefully one day retire and collect a small amount of social security, and finally I'd be able to enjoy my life and to follow my dreams, have enough time to do so when I'm too old to actually enjoy life properly. I could see most of the adults around me settling for this kind of life. That's the dream they were sold by society. Except that in life you never have a guarantee. You can't tell me for sure that you're not going to die in just 2 years because of a disease or because you get into a car crash maybe. You can't guarantee me that. It's impossible if you're honest with yourself. Yet most people are just fine with just waiting for things to happen. But things never happen as you just wait passively for them. And so I wondered, how do I reach my goal, which is to make millions of dollars and all of that in my 20s, as young as I can, while at the same time being able to travel the world and do whatever I want. And so one day I decided to type how to get rich in the YouTube search bar. And that is when I stumbled upon a video by an entrepreneur online who explained how he made over $70,000 in the last month alone. And that blew my mind. He was doing so while traveling the world. He would always record himself in these fancy hotels near the pool or whatever, and I was impressed. I thought, wow, if I made 70,000 euros, because it was in euros, I would be doing whatever I want. I could provide for myself, but also for the people I love. I could even drive a Ferrari if I wanted. And so I went down the rabbit hole. I watched all of his videos, and I started to find more content creators like him, making videos about business online. And at the time, like over 11 years ago, not that many people were making videos on business online. So it was very rare. It was a very small community. Nowadays, it's actually pretty popular, but back then it wasn't the case. And he was making that much money by selling courses and coaching. But at the time, I felt like I had nothing to teach to anyone. And I was 11 years old, so. But I decided to try growing Instagram team pages to resell them. So I started that, but then an algorithm change made it almost impossible to grow grow organically on Instagram. I would post, not get any views, not get any likes or any followers, while bigger accounts would get views and likes and followers rather effortlessly, posting the same kind of stuff, just because they had a pre-existing audience. So I gave up on that. But then with my friend in high school, we started dropshipping. Now in the end, we only lost $3,000 or I think something like that, because we couldn't afford to just keep running paid ads when we were losing money and we were broke. We were basically using all of our savings, and at the time, my friend was working a part-time job. Now during my school years, I was forced to do many unpaid internships, and every single time I hated it. I could see the workers, the employees, coming in the office every day at 9 with that dreaded look on their faces. They were dead inside. They didn't want to be here. They didn't want to do this. And I saw a few people actually quit because they wanted to go ahead and to follow their passion. One of them wanted to become a farmer, if I remember correctly. So very, very different than a regular boring office job where you just do paperwork all day long. And I also did some work for a temporary work agency. I wasn't even paid because it was an internship. And so I would see people coming to the office to get a job. And do you know what this job was? They would have to get up at 3 or 4 a.m. so they could go work at the factory at 5 a.m. and finish their day at like 2 or 4 p.m. I can't tell you how miserable they looked. And I knew I don't want to end up like them. No disrespect to them, but I knew I wanted so much better. I knew I just could never stand being like this. So I had to roll up my sleeves and I had to find a way to succeed. And that's when at some point I had enough of trying this bullshit dropshipping or whatever, and I just decided to listen to myself for once. I had always known if I wanted to become successful, I needed to sell services or coaching offers, because it's with this business model I've seen the most amount of people actually go from 0 to making 6, even 7 figures per year, even 8 figures per year. But I can't say the same with other business models. And so at first, I wanted to sell a productivity coaching offer, but the problem is I had no one to guide me, I didn't know what the hell I was doing, and most importantly, because of traumatic events from my past, I was dealing with so much anxiety, I couldn't even leave my parents' house for like 7 months, I think, because I was afraid of the outside world. I was afraid of having simple conversations with human beings. I just couldn't do it, because deep down I was afraid of rejection. I was afraid of being humiliated, of being treated like shit. So my brain wanted to protect me from that potential pain, but by trying to protect me so much, my brain limited me. It prevented me from doing the hard work I needed to do to actually get a shot at becoming successful and getting customers. And so procrastinating that much, I just decided I had enough. And I decided to go ahead and to work with a mentor to learn how I could build this profitable consulting business. It was a big financial investment for me, but I took that leap of faith and my life was never the same ever since, because I learned so much. I learned how to come up with an offer, how to sell, how to market my offer, how to think like a proper businessman, not like an anxious teen who couldn't even leave his house. And I started to force myself out of my comfort zone every day. I started to do one thing that scared me every single day. I'd put one foot in front of the other and focus on the day-to-day. And slowly but surely, I started to make a lot of money. I started to sign my first customers, and when I signed my first customer, I got my second customer just 5 days later, and they were paying me high ticket prices, so over $1,000. And I remember the first time I closed a client on the call with me, I just ran to my parents to show them the notification on my phone. Like, look, I've made $1,000. That's what I told them. And they were so proud of me and I felt so great. But then I had this fear I wouldn't be able to sign more customers, or like for some reason it was too good to be true, but it wasn't. Only 5 days later, I got another customer, and then I got others and others and others and others. And that's how I made my first 5K online, and then it kept growing. And while at first I was solely focusing on helping entrepreneurs to book more sales calls with their ideal customers to help them to increase their revenue, I transitioned from solely doing that to doing consulting, so coaching, because I realized booking more meetings wasn't the only thing you actually needed to have a profitable consulting business. You needed the right offer, to put it in front of the right people, to market your products on social media the right way. You also needed to understand human psychology, to overcome your fears and your limiting beliefs, to understand how to use certain softwares and tools. So there's so much that goes into building a profitable business or scaling it. So it's not just about booking more calls. Even though if you book more calls with your ideal customers, you're gonna make a lot more money, because the funnel we use is simple. So simple, in fact, so many people don't actually believe it works because they expect some crazy, shiny, revolutionary looking thing. And that's why they never succeed, because they focus on the wrong things. They focus on how it looks instead of how it actually works, the kind of results it actually provides. And honestly, ever since I built my business, it has allowed me to live a life I never thought I could live. I've been able to travel, to meet the people I love, to stay in some of the best buildings in the world, to live luxury experiences, to be driven around in cars that most people will never be able to afford. And I'm not saying this to brag, because it doesn't matter. I don't care. You're free to believe me or not. But my point is, if I hadn't started my business, if instead I had decided to follow the traditional path, which was to go to university, get massively in debt, get a job, slowly climb the ladder, and maybe one day when I'm 40 or 50, be able to make 6 figures a year, okay, that would have been great. But if I could do it in a better way, why not do it? I would have never lived any of these experiences right now if I had followed the traditional path, because it's very limited. Individuals often don't become rich, but businesses do. And what I really love about this business model, consulting, meaning you sell coaching or services, even both, is that it's It's highly scalable, highly profitable, profit margins are like 95%. You will not find a single business model with insanely high profit margins like that. When you sell physical products like dropshipping or Amazon FBA or selling merch, your profit is between 5 to 20%. Good luck finding another business model with 95% profit margins. And not only that, but you get to work with amazing customers who are committed, who put in the work, who take things seriously, and you can make a living doing what you love. You can monetize your passion and become extremely rich while doing so. So with that said, if you want my help to build your business, I invite you to check out the resources in the description below, and you can directly apply to book a call with me or my team, and we'll see if we can help you. With that being said, I'll be waiting for you on the other side.